Welcome back to Susan Dawn Spiritual Connections. Welcome to a brand new Sacred Union Energy Update. We just did a recent Sacred Union Energy Update called Return to Love, and I wasn't anticipating doing another one. However, as is usual, I'm feeling the energy, and I want to focus kind of on the Divine Feminine this time. The last reading felt a little bit more heavily focused on the masculine, and I'm feeling some support for Divine Feminine energies coming through. We're going to channel for the Divine Masculine as well. Kind of feeling like a conversation between the two happening, but I want to check in on the Divine Feminine because I'm feeling mostly her energy. I'm picking up mostly on the Divine Feminine side of things. Now, as always, take these readings and these messages however they resonate for you. It could be that you are a masculine watching in support of yourself or for your feminine. You could be a feminine watching in support of your masculine or for yourself. So take it, to have more compassion for what your counterpart might be experiencing and going through, for your own inner masculine and inner feminine, for your connection, or for the global ascension, because these energies are affecting all of us globally as well, especially as we're understanding what conscious connection within the honoring of the masculine and the feminine is really all about. That's what our ascension journey is, or part of our ascension journey is. So before I get to the cards, I just want to share something that was interesting. So I haven't been connected to the collective for the past couple of weeks. That was because I was away, and I really felt pulled to just not do any work, to not tune in, because my trip to Europe was for me. I had some experiences there that I've been blogging about, sharing over on my website, susandonspiritual.com. You can find the links in the description box. I'm also sharing some of that with some new channelings and insight as I'm receiving that insight over on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections. So I'll share it as it comes up, more about my experiences and my trip as it comes up, because it's all going to be interconnected here with the work that I do, because it was something that I've experienced for my journey and for the work that I do. But I was called to really just enjoy myself, and not enjoy myself as in like this is just a pleasure trip, even though it was so joyful, but because there was a lot that I was healing within myself through those experiences, that I was realizing, insight that I was gaining, upgrades that I was gaining, clarity, connection that I was gaining. I had an experience with the sacred masculine energy that was powerful. I had a transmission and a ceremony with Mother Mary that came through that I'll be sharing this week as well. So it was profoundly powerful. And because of that, I needed to kind of step back from the collective work, and even from connecting with the masculine energy as a whole, or I would say my masculine energy. I still get torn sometimes. The person that I was catalyzed to this ascension journey with, I called him my twin, because that is how I had connected with him. With regards to this journey, I was activated to this journey with him. And I still do believe that he is my twin, but I don't like the definitions anymore. I don't like the labels anymore, because I just don't know what that means as far as relationship, as far as physical relationship, because there is a lot that has happened, and there's a lot that is continuing to unfold, and there's a lot that's being experienced. So I just don't know what to call them anymore. But the twin energy, the sacred union energy, is still very present. It's still very present in my life. You might be experiencing something similar, in which there's multiple paths that are opening up, and it could be that the original counterpart is coming back. It could be that there are soulmates that are coming through. It could be that you're meeting somebody new. Remember that twin flame is first and foremost an energy, and we feel that energy through specific people, and that's why we then kind of attach to specific people. And there's nothing wrong with healthy attachment. That's how we form bonds with people. That's how we connect with people and have greater intimacy in relationships with people. There is nothing wrong with healthy attachment. It's when we apply unhealthy attachment and unhealthy programs to those relationships, and that's what we're clearing on this ascension journey as well. So that being said, I hadn't even connected with my counterpart so much, is I guess what I'll call him, my twin, the person that activated me, except for a few times when he came through, just in passing. For example, I was at the airport, and I felt The energy just kind of plopped down beside me when I was feeling anxious and calmed me and stuff like that. But for the most part, the energy that I was feeling of the sacred masculine was not connected to a specific person or the memory of a specific person. However, when I got back, I was connecting almost immediately to the energy again. Annoyingly so. And I say annoyingly so because it felt almost like a reprieve. It felt almost like I had just this energy of peace. And that's not to say that that peace isn't still here, but the journey has been quite confusing for me over the past 6 years with regards to this specific person. There was a lot of confusion because of the in and out, because of the hot and cold, because of the pushing away, but no, come close. No, I'm going to push you away, but no, come close. Every time that I tried to say, okay, this isn't what you want, then I'll move on, there was always this pull to come closer to each other on his end, too. So it was a very confusing journey for me. And over the past several years, past several months especially, a lot of that has cleared and peace has just come in. And the peace has felt very grounded, it's felt very stable, and it's felt very secure, particularly within myself. And with that has come this energy of just kind of letting it unfold and letting it go in many different aspects and many different ways. However, um, there's still some lingering feelings, there's still some lingering remains of that relationship. And I have come to understand over the course of the past year that I will always love him, that I will always feel connected to him, and I will always feel grateful for this journey for him, and that I have had to let him go because you can't chase, somebody that doesn't want to be chased. You can't force something that isn't, being reciprocated, that isn't mutual. And I said to myself that I was not going to put forth the effort in somebody who doesn't want that effort. Um, that was a conscious decision that I made last year, and I've stuck by that. As hard as it was, because this journey is hard because the pull is very strong. Anyway, so I just sharing a little bit more personal stuff. So it's been quite a wild, interesting, to say the least, journey. And when I got back, I was feeling the energy again. And for the most part, I was able to just, kind of ignore it. Just send love and send blessings and send, gratitude, but not get kind of tied up into it. But a couple of days, maybe even almost immediately when I got home, I had a dream. And he was in the dream, and his daughter, who I had essentially helped to raise and who was like my soul daughter, I've always and always will consider her like a soul daughter to me, was in the dream. And this is not the first time that I have dreamt of both of them. I have had numerous dreams over the past year of reconciling with both of them. There is a softness, there is a love that always exists within that dream. And in this dream, she was running down the hallway, ran past me, realized it was me, exclaimed, "Oh my God," and immediately went to hug me. And it was so beautiful and so loving. And gosh, like I miss her terribly. And in essence, I miss both of them because for a very long time, I considered them my family. For a very long time, I considered this person my person, and there's a part of me that still does, and that probably always will. It's just, I think I've guarded myself because it's a little bit painful to continue on this path of considering him my person when so much has happened between us. And it just, like I was saying in the past sacred union reading, these readings I learn a lot from them too. And divine feminines, we might feel like it's impossible, and maybe in some ways it is, but I do believe that we're on a path of sacred union no matter what. But this person and his daughter had meant so incredibly much to me, And I will never doubt that there was actual true love there. I will never doubt that. I will never deny that. Um, I tried to deny that once, and I knew that that was not my truth. My truth is that I believe that there was actual love. Um, so in this dream, she actually ended up going to play with a friend, and I remember looking at my counterpart and saying, like, you, like, almost like being angry with him, like, you did this, like, you did this, like, you pushed everything away, you pushed me away, and I never even got a chance to say goodbye. And I realized that I was still holding onto some anger. And justifiably, as I always say to divine feminines, like, you're allowed to feel exactly what you need to feel. For a long time, I denied my anger at the situation and made excuses for it because I was trying to hold compassion for him. And I realized that you can do both. You can be angry at the way that you were treated, or at the way that you were at their behaviors, maybe at the way that they even treated themselves. And you can have compassion and understanding for why they do the things that they do too. And this doesn't just relate to your counterpart, but it relates to everything. Anybody, you can have more than one emotion. You can have more than one feeling. Two truths can coexist at the same time, and that's what makes it all so messy, but that's what makes it also beautifully human too, is that two truths can coexist, and you can be angry, and justifiably so, and you can also understand why somebody may have acted the way that they have acted, or behaved the way that they behaved. It does not excuse behavior by any means, but you can still hold compassion for that. And so it was interesting that in the dream there was some anger there, and so I allowed myself to be angry. I allowed myself to share what it was that I needed to share with that dream version of him. And it was very quick. The anger passed really quickly into compassion and forgiveness. But it was interesting, to say the least, um, because I actually, on my trip, I even thought, oh well, okay, maybe it's completely done now. Maybe this was really the full circle moment, as I was experiencing many full circle experiences on that trip. Maybe this is that door that is really being closed. Um, is the door ever really closed? I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting because as I was kind of tuning into the energy, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because of the energy that I'm experiencing within the collective now as well. I got into my car today, and usually my car just goes on a random song from my phone, unless I have it on Spotify. And what was interesting is it came on a random song that's on my phone, but it was a Taylor Swift song that I don't actually remember purchasing, because when you purchase music, it goes on your phone and it's there unless you're streaming it on Spotify. It's a Taylor Swift song. Um, I've never been a huge Swiftie. My best friend, who is, might argue otherwise. But over the past year, uh, Taylor Swift's music has really spoken to me and helped me process a lot of what I'm feeling around the connection, and help me process a lot of the emotions that I didn't maybe have the words for, didn't truly understand, or couldn't articulate at the time. But music has a beautiful cathartic way, just like writing for me does, has a beautiful cathartic way of helping you to process your emotions. And I would often journal and write, and even write letters to my counterpart in a journal, to help process the emotions I was feeling as I was listening to this music. And most of the music, I've only, purchased a handful of her songs for, on my phone. Usually I stream music, and especially like Taylor Swift's music. Usually it's on a playlist on streaming. But it was actually, this song came up on my okay, so the song came up on my phone's playlist, and it's called Tolerate It. And I just realized now, looking at the album, I had bought the whole Evermore album, which is my favorite album, but there were only a couple of songs that I would really religiously replay over and over and over and over that I really connected to. So this song is not one that I've heard often. It's not one that I recognize. It's not one that I knew. And as I was listening to the lyrics, I was really connecting with it and really feeling it. And I feel like Divine Feminines, there might be some wistfulness that you're experiencing. There might be even some melancholy that you're experiencing. Now, I want to say this too. Divine Feminines, I feel like you are in the best place that you have ever been. And I mean, like, for your whole lifetime, especially when it comes to this connection, and especially when it comes to relationships. I feel like you're in an amazing place. You feel stable, you feel grounded, and you feel like you are chasing after peace rather than chasing chaos. What I mean by that is that it is no longer chaos and drama that you're participating in. You're removing yourself from situations where there is drama, where there's chaos, and you are only engaging in that which allows for that peace because you've anchored into that peace within you. And part of that peace means joy, it means love, it means especially unconditional love for yourself, it means honoring yourself. Divine Feminines, I always say this, but I feel like you should be very proud of yourself because this was not an easy road to get to. This was been a rough journey for you, especially because you can see the higher perspective of this journey. You've always been able to see the higher perspective of this journey and of this connection. And that's what has caused so much of the confusion, because it was almost like there was a battle between the mind and the heart. There was a battle between the higher dimension understanding and what the 3D perspective looked like, what the 3D evidence was showing you, evidence, so to speak. And part of your lessons, Divine Feminine, was to trust your intuition, was to trust what was beyond perception, what was beyond the 3D, to trust in the energy of things and not just what was being shown to you. But you also had to find a place of balance and acceptance with that. You had to accept, okay, this is what the 3D is showing me now. It might not always feel like this, but this is what the 3D is showing me now. And even though I'm feeling the energy, for example, if you are having this push and pull with your counterpart, if there's a separation with your counterpart, in Divine Feminines, I feel like most of you have really anchored into that inner union where that separation is just, that divide, that separation energy is just getting decreasing and decreasing and decreasing, and it's like non-existent anymore. So I feel like there is that confusion of, well, we're in the separation, but I'm feeling his energy. I'm feeling my person's energy. So how can that be? I'm feeling love from him. So how can that be when he's saying maybe he doesn't want a relationship, or maybe he's saying cruel things to me, or maybe he's saying this or that, but I'm feeling like that's not true. I'm feeling like whatever it is that he's saying to me isn't true. And so there has to be this kind of balance and acceptance for, yes, what's being shown to you in the physical, while also holding in your heart what you do know as true. Because what you know as true, you have to learn to connect with yourself and trust in yourself enough to believe in what it is that you are experiencing. But there also has to be this level of acceptance for what is being shown to you or what is being experienced within the 3D. Remember, the energy comes first, and the 3D sometimes takes some time playing catch up. And you're always creating, especially from the present moment, you're always creating new timelines and shifting in energy. So we have to allow for some acceptance in the 3D, but you can still keep and hold it within yourself, that truth. I will always believe that my counterpart underneath it all loved me. I will always believe that. I can't not believe that. And maybe, maybe it is just the love that I have had for him. But the energy that I've experienced, and even some things in the 3D that I've experienced, a lot in the 3D that I experienced, I will always believe that there was genuine, true love there. We just kept misunderstanding each other, just kept miscommunicating. We just couldn't get on the same page. And I think that's somehow the saddest part of all. But anyway, so I'm listening and tuning into these lyrics as I'm driving, And it's really connecting with me. I'm just gonna read some of them now. Tell me I've got it. If it's all in my head, tell me now. Tell me I've got it wrong somehow. I know my love should be celebrated, but you tolerate it. And for Divine Feminines, I feel like that's how it's felt. It's felt like you have felt so connected to this big love. You felt so connected to this unconditional love, this true love. And you felt so connected to that with your person, but it almost felt like your person might have gone cold with it. Like your person kept pushing it away. Like your person, again, that in and out, hot and cold kind of energy that you've experienced. And we've all experienced that on this journey. Um, that is that tug of war. I'm hearing from Spirit now that your person has experienced that within themselves. They were experiencing that battle within themselves. They were experiencing that tug of war within their own battle of the mind and the heart. And as masculine energies, they were displaying that with their actions, their own internal process. That was a tug of war. They did want to come towards you. They did want connection, but they were in that battle within themselves. And so it's like every time that they tried to move closer, a lot of that came down to fear. A lot of that came down to mistrust within themselves. They weren't connected within themselves or fully anchored into that connection within themselves. And so they weren't able to see you for who you are. They weren't able to see the love that you were offering, and by proxy, they weren't able to receive the love that you were offering. And so the push and pull was, I'm actually seeing it was their own push and pull within themselves. And that created a mirror effect for you, Divine Feminines, where you began pushing and pulling because you began to doubt yourself because you were basing all of that energy off of what they were or were not doing. And that's where you had to learn along your journey to pull all that energy back to yourself and not rely on what are they doing or what are they not doing, what are they feeling or what are they not feeling. That's where you had to go within and trust yourself and especially love yourself. Especially love yourself. Um, I know my love should be celebrated, but you tolerate it. You were meant to journey home to yourself, and your person, on the highest perspective, I know we've been talking a lot about the 3D, but on the highest perspective, your person was, in essence, showing you how to love yourself. And unfortunately, it was in the most painful way possible, but would you have learned any other way? For myself, no. For myself, I had to finally choose myself. And over the course of many, many years and many instances and experiences, I had learned to trust myself and my intuition. I had learned to stand up for myself. I had learned to choose myself. But still, when it came to this person, because I had such love for him, I kept choosing him over and over and over myself. And there came a point where I had to say, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I had to choose what was best for me. And that was the most difficult and painful decision that I have ever done. But it was what I had to do for myself. And in essence, this is going to sound really dramatic, and I don't mean it to sound dramatic, but in essence, I was saving my life, emotionally, spiritually. Um, it was the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, but I had to choose myself and love myself enough and even love him enough to let him go and do that, to choose myself. And by choosing myself, I had to let him go. And you guys know how hard that is because you have such love for them. You love your person as you love yourself. But if I wanted to really, really love, I had to make really difficult decisions. And over the course of that, over the course of the healing, I've learned to more consciously choose love, more consciously choose peace, more consciously choose to no longer step into any drama or any energy of suffering and pain, that I want to consciously choose love and consciously choose peace. And as such, my life has completely turned upside down in the past year, and what felt like destruction has turned into creation. And I'm actually now living and manifesting dreams that felt once upon a time impossible. and having experiences that once upon a time felt impossible. Um, so it's very interesting where we are right now. I just wanted to take a look at the rest of the lyrics. Yeah, I made you my temple, my mural, my sky. Now I'm begging for footnotes in the story of your life. And I feel like Divine Feminines, that's where we're no longer staying. We're no longer content with just being the footnote in somebody's life, in a connection that is not reciprocated, because I feel like we really understand what the masculine and feminine union is. It is not about sacrificing yourself for another. There's compromise in relationships, of course. There's communication in relationships, of course. But that's where you honor each other and work together. It's a union. And I feel like we are really understanding what that union is. When I was in the White Spring, the masculine temple in Glastonbury, I had that experience, and I'm going to be speaking about this a lot because it was so profound. I had the experience of really feeling the sacred masculine with me. And I've only experienced that in meditation and in channelings like this, but this was even more visceral and more powerful than any channeling and meditation I've done thus far. This was so earthly and so present and so stable and grounded. And it was just surrounding me and protecting me and honoring me. I just keep getting visions of King Arthur and Queen Guinevere, and it's like they are the pinnacle. And there's been other, unions and twin flames and relationships like that. Isis and Osiris is one. Jesus and Mary Magdalene is another, for example. I'm also getting Mother Mary and Joseph as well. So there are a number. I'm also getting Lady Portia and Saint Germain, which is interesting as well. So there's a number of these unions experienced throughout history, but for some reason, maybe it's because Glastonbury is linked to this energy, King Arthur and Queen Guinevere keep coming through, and it's before I left over the summer, I had channeled a number of messages with regards to King Arthur, Queen Guinevere, and Avalon, and I never ended up doing the channeling, so I might have to bring that forth because I'm feeling the energy of it now. I might have to bring that forth maybe this week even. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. King Arthur and Queen Guinevere are that masculine and feminine energy, the divine, the sacred masculine and feminine template. And you can see that in the king and the queen. The king and the queen don't hold power or dominion over each other. They work in tandem as a union, as a unit, in union with each other to support their work, to support their service, to support their mission. And in this instance, it was in support of creating Camelot, this golden age, their kingdom. But it's the same thing of what these unions are. It's not power over or dominion over one another. It is working consciously together in that energy of unconditional love and remembering the unconditional love and supporting each other in the unconditional love to celebrate each other and uplift each other and encourage each other through your ascension process, through your growth. And I feel like Divine Feminine's part of the struggle for you is that you have always understood this, maybe at different layers and levels of it. Certainly I didn't understand the depth of this when I first started on my journey, but you've always on some level understood what this connection was and what it was for. Not just as a 3D romantic template, but for the union that affects the whole, for the mission, for the purpose of unconditional love and bringing that unconditional love template to the world because you share that with each other. And that love that you have with each other is so powerful and magnetic that it's like a cosmic effect that bursts that new world. We channeled that maybe year one into my channelings 6 years ago. It is powerful. It is that powerful. It's like a supernova of energy. That's how powerful your love is because it is unconditional love. It is a pure love. You are not toxic to each other. It is the patterns that you're replaying. It is the traumas that are still unhealed. It is the shadows that are not yet integrated that come up between you two that creates that separation. It's the illusion of separation, and that illusion is fading now because you're coming into that understanding of the self. And the divine masculine is currently working through that. Divine feminines, I feel like you have really anchored in that inner union, but there might still be some residual energies, and that's where the melancholy and the wistfulness is coming through, because I feel like there's still that energy of I want my person. Where is my person? And it's almost like because that union hasn't fully solidified yet in the physical, that's where that melancholy and that wistfulness is coming through today. So let's get a little bit of guidance, especially for the divine feminines. I do want to channel for the divine masculine as well, kind of because I feel like he wants to save some stuff in response to that. But let's get a card for the divine feminine. What does the divine feminine need to know? Rising up. And it's an 11 number as well. Divine feminines, this has been your ascension. And we're at a point where we can look at it and see how difficult it was. But we're not journeying through that difficulty anymore. We're not journeying through that struggle anymore, because you've reached a point of the higher heart ascension where you have closed out a chapter, a phase, a level of your journey as a whole. And we've been channeling that for the past couple of years now. There have been a little bit of a transition energy the past 2 years that journey's ending. Journey's end, something like that. Over on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections, we have really in-depth channelings with regards to Ascension, the Sacred Union Path of Ascension, and Twin Flames, where we go much, much deeper into the journey as a whole. So I really encourage you guys, for the full picture, to check out that sister channel. Divine Feminines, however, you have been closing out a major phase and a major chapter. For me, I felt that door close probably around August or September, where it really felt like that I'd been going through a transition of that journey's ending, and a new beginning hadn't quite taken root. It took root for me in August and September, where I could feel that shift in my own energy, and I could feel that union energy anchor in. And so, with the rising up energy, your journey has taken you here to rise into a new level of yourself, to rise into a new consciousness, and to rise into a new frequency where you are now embodying the sacred feminine. And what is the sacred feminine? The sacred feminine is the template of the maiden, the mother, and the crone all at once. I was going to say it's the wild feminine, but Spirit then showed me the channeling that we did on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections about the maiden, the mother, and the crone, and how we're all things all at once. Now, if you're a male or if you're a core masculine, this could be your inner feminine template as well, because you have both energies within you. You have to heal both energies within you, or at the very least, remember to honor both energies within you. But the feminine energy is rising up. It's rising within the masculine, so that the masculine is learning to honor the feminine, and it's rising within the feminine herself, or those who resonate, I should say, with the core feminine essence. So, Divine Feminine, this is where your journey has taken you. You are that warrior in spirit, that heart warrior. You are that wild feminine who has the pure essence, the innocence, the love of the maiden. You have the nurturing compassion of the mother, and you have the wisdom of the ages, the wisdom of the crone, the connection to higher source of the crone. You're all at once. And so, Divine Feminines, this is where your journey has taken you, and it has been a difficult road. My God, when I look back at who I was, I never thought that I could become who I am now. I never thought like this version of myself would even be possible. I didn't even know an inkling of her existed. I have rediscovered myself in ways that I didn't even know I was missing. fragmented aspects of myself, forgotten aspects of myself, not just when it comes to my gifts and my connection, but when it comes to my inner child as well, the joy that I have for life, laughing at myself. Um, I'll share this with you guys. I'm almost like embarrassed to say, I just got braces. Um, they're like the invisible ones. They're the Invisalign, the trays. Um, but I have a really hard, they're out right now because I have a really hard time talking with them. And I was joking with my family and making fun of myself. And I never would have been able to do that a couple of years ago because of deep seated insecurities. And now I'm glad I have my sense of humor back. I lost that when I got sick. I lost my sense of humor because there was so much pain and so much struggle and so much suffering. But I remember that I used to be that goofy kid. I used to be that silly kid who loved to laugh and who loved to smile. And so that's why I chose to do this for myself. It's something I've always had a little bit of insecurity about. And as much as, I believe in loving and accepting yourself as you are, but also in making choices that better yourself as you call to, as you want to, not because somebody else wants you to. And so this is something that I'm doing for myself, to keep myself healthy and to continue to build that confidence within myself, especially because I love to laugh and especially because I love to smile. But it's funny because I'm having fun, just kind of making fun of myself and not in a deprecating way. No, we're not doing that anymore. We're not self-criticizing, we're not self-judging, we're not self-deprecating. But we can learn to laugh with ourselves and feel that joy with ourselves and be silly with ourselves. And that's what I discovered about myself this week and even when I was away and when I was dressing up for my 40th birthday party. I don't know if you guys saw, but I had a post where I dressed up in all 80s gear with my friends, and all my friends dressed up too. And it was such a joyful time, and no insecurity, no fear about looking foolish. It was just pure grounded embodiment, pure grounded authenticity, just pure grounded presence. And there was such joy, and just this version of who I am is a version of who I've always been. I just got a little lost and I got a little confused and I got a little bogged down by the experiences and the pain and the suffering that I've had in my life thus far. I've had a lifetime of pain and struggle and loss and challenge and suffering. And it's taken me a lifetime to get to this place where I am. And this is what I mean. It's like now enjoying life a little bit more in a different way, not engaging with the suffering and the pain and the struggle like I used to, but just allowing myself to feel that energy of joy within myself and not worried about what does anybody think. Who cares? Who cares? As long as you're not doing harm to anybody, especially yourself, especially to others, you know, enjoy life. Find your passion. Find what lights you up. Have fun. Play. That's what it's about. Okay, so Divine Feminines, you are rising into a brand new version of you, into somebody that might even surprise you. Embrace her. Embrace her. Love her. I want to see, I'm getting called to the Divine Masculine. Let me just see what the Divine Masculine has to say. It feels very supportive. It feels very energetically supportive. This masculine feels almost like very proud of you. And that's where this protective energy is coming around again. I shared it in the last Sacred Union energy update. This protective energy is coming around. This is a masculine, at least on the higher levels. They might not be displaying this in the 3D, of course. They might not even be conscious of it. But the higher self is very protective of you, is very much embracing you, is very much honoring of you and loving of you. I'm also getting like admiring you. I feel like they're admiring you. I'm hearing something interesting for the divine masculine. I'm trying to understand what this message is. I'm hearing the phrase "a race against time." I feel like this divine masculine that I'm tapping into is in a race against themselves. I feel like they are going through their ascension. They're going through it very rapidly. And I feel like they're working on their own self and their own self development. This could be in the physical, as far as job, stability, finances, resources, whatever. But there's something here, I'm hearing self worth. They're working on their own self esteem. They're working on their own self concept, how they view themselves. Because I feel like it had been very distorted in the past. And I feel like Divine Feminine, you're kind of a shining example for them. And I don't feel like in the past they might have looked at you through a distorted template. But it was only because they were looking at themselves through that distorted template. This divine masculine is beginning to recognize, and this has been coming through for a while now, is beginning to recognize who you are to them and what you mean to them. And I feel like they might still be doing a little bit of battle with themselves, trying to deny it, trying to avoid it. But that's old self-sabotaging energy, and that energy feels very stale. It feels very stagnant. And what I mean by that, what they're showing me is a vision of a dank room, a dark room. And it's like the door has been closed for a while. And I'm seeing a masculine figure standing in there. And there's no fresh air, there's no circulation, right? That's this old distorted concept of themselves, where there was self-sabotage, there was denial, there was avoidance, there was no self-responsibility, no self-accountability, no self-love, no self-worth. All this kind of toxic energy creating a staleness in the air. You ever you notice gosh, it feels very like visceral. You ever notice if you go somewhere where there's no circulation in the room, the energy itself feels stale? That's what it feels like. It feels like it's so stagnant and so stale. And I feel like this masculine is beginning to realize that this is like the soup, the mucky soup that they've been living in, and that all they have to do is open the door for some fresh air. And I feel what I'm seeing is them opening the door and stepping out into the sunlight, stepping out into the fresh air. And it's like there's a change in perception there. And they're looking back at that room that they were stuck in, and they were realizing that they were the only ones holding them back in that room. There was nobody else in there with them. It comes down to a change in perception, that they have to change their mindset, that they have to change their perception. And they're seeing things with new lenses. They're seeing things much more clearly. They're seeing you clearly, and they're seeing themselves more clearly. And when they're seeing you more clearly, they're seeing you with a sense of respect that they didn't have for you before, because they didn't have respect for themselves before. It's very interesting. And they're bringing back that energy of protector again. They want to honor you. They want to lift you up. They want to be the one that is in your life rooting you on. I feel like there is a sense of admiration. It feels small. It doesn't feel like it's full blown yet, because I feel like they're still working on themselves. And the more that they love themselves, the more they're able to open that up to loving others, especially loving you as fully as they do. But I feel like there's a sense of admiration for you. There's a sense of pride coming through. It's like they're proud of you and how far that you've come. And what you've overcome, who you've become, and how you've just kind of blossomed in the face of adversity, in the face of this journey is what I'm hearing too, in the face of this journey. And they're battling a little bit with a sense of regret right now, that's coming through, because they do realize how their actions played a role in that struggle for you and that challenge for you, but they're very proud for how you overcame them and how you overcame that. But they're struggling with that sense of regret for having been the one to catalyze you for that growth. It played out in the way that it needed to play out. That does not mean that they don't have to take responsibility and accountability and ownership of their actions, but once they do, that's when the mending can happen between you both. That's when the bridges can be built between you both. So what does the masculine want to say to the divine feminine? What does the masculine want to say to the divine feminine? Stubbornness is being cleared away. This was a very prideful and stubborn energy. You might have actually shared that stubbornness and that pridefulness between you two. It's giving very Pride and Prejudice. It's giving very Darcy and Elizabeth, for those of you who are Austen fans too. It's very interesting. Yeah. Divine Masculine's Awakening. And look at this. There's this energy of regret. Look at that kind of sadness. There's almost like feels like there's like a tower of destruction behind him. That tower moment. That is that come to your knees, that fall to your knees kind of energy. And what does that do? Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. Okay, so what does that do? I wasn't seeing the people here. I was just seeing the open heart, the vulnerable heart, the exposed heart. And the tower is creating a sense of vulnerability. And that vulnerability, that's where they had their guard up, because they didn't want to feel vulnerable. They didn't want to open themselves up. Divine Feminines, you got in there. You got in there. You saw them. You saw them for who they are, and you loved them and you accepted them when they couldn't love and accept themselves. You were always there for them, always supporting them. And they're beginning to realize this, and they're beginning to regret how they treated this connection, especially how they treated you, who was always loving them and always there. They just weren't able to love themselves to that degree. And as such, they weren't able to show you that love that they actually feel for you and have always felt for you in return. They weren't able to show it even though they felt it. That was the battle within themselves that you have experienced as well, Divine Feminines. You were picking up on their own inner battle, which created an inner battle within you, which made you second guess yourself, which made you second guess your intuition, which made you maybe pull away. You have been mirroring each other this whole time. And so, Divine Feminines, that's where you had to pull your energy back and focus on your life so that you weren't getting pulled into their energy and their self-doubt. You had to learn how to trust yourself enough that no matter what was experienced in the 3D, even though there was that balance of acceptance, that level of acceptance, you still held to what you know is true for you. Like I said, I've experienced that myself, where I don't know what to call my counterpart anymore, because I still believe he's my twin, but there's a part of me that is afraid of calling him my twin, because of how he's reacted, of how he's treated me, of how everything has unfolded in a way that I never anticipated it would unfold. But there's still part of me that I can't deny, in the very root of myself, in the very core of myself, cannot deny that he will always feel like my person. And I've had to let go of him as that specific person. I don't have expectations for that anymore. I still feel like he is. I don't have the expectation of that anymore. I'm just open to every potential and every possibility, because I understand now that twin flame is an energy, and he might have been that person. It might have been showing itself through him, that twin flame energy. Maybe he wasn't ready, or maybe he will not be ready, or maybe he is choosing a different path that is not with me, and that twin flame energy will be with somebody else. Who knows? You have to allow yourself to understand that twin flame is an energy. It's not a specific person, as much as you feel connected to a specific person, and allow yourself to open up to every possibility. However, there's still, that knowing inside of me that some way or another there will be some kind of conclusion. Some kind of closure, some kind of coming back around. I can't help but feel that. I can't help but feel like there is love, and love always overcomes. You can call me a hopeless optimist. You can call me a helpless romantic. I will admit to both of those. I will always believe in the power of love. Always. I will always believe in the power of love and forgiveness and compassion. I will always believe in him. I will always believe in us. I will always believe. But that doesn't mean that I'm affixed to anything anymore. That doesn't mean I'm holding on to anything. I have moved into an energy of just openness. And there's a sense of liberation that comes from that. I feel free from the journey. And with that freedom from the journey, it feels much more loving towards him, towards me, towards whatever the future is unfolding to be. I say all that because I feel like the masculine is picking up on all of that. I feel like the masculine is feeling the heaviness of the connection, but is wanting the liberation of the connection, wanting the liberation of this love, wanting the liberation of your embrace, divine feminines. If you look closely, it's a very powerful image, and what's happening is within the heart space, there is the union. There is the divine feminine, the divine masculine embracing here, with deep within the heart space, and that's what we were picking up on as well. It's that deep within the heart, there's always that love. And I feel like the divine masculine is closing out a major chapter, leveling up into a new phase of their journey, moving into a new phase of consciousness for themselves and new frequency. It might feel like destruction. It might feel like an old version of them is peeling away, and it's because it is. That old, they're stepping out of that room, that with the stale energy where there was no circulation, where there was no life, and they're moving into a fresher state of being. But they have to have the courage to open the door. They have to have the courage to step through into a new version of life for themselves. They have to do things differently, and that's what they're beginning to realize, because they're beginning to really open up to that vulnerability within themselves, and that vulnerability changes everything. Maybe it's them asking for support or seeking support. Maybe it is a counselor or a mentor or a therapist. Maybe it is them communicating where they weren't communicating before, allowing themselves to be open and honest and vulnerable with their communication, maybe with you, maybe with others in their lives. That vulnerability, that openness changes everything. And it's hard. Hard is an understatement, is what I'm saying. It's hard because they had been so guarded. But this is where that new level comes in. It's stepping over the threshold of fear to allow for greater love to come through. And I feel like they want you to know, divine feminines, that they understand what you have gone through, or at least they're beginning to understand what you have gone through, because in a way, a different way maybe, but in a way they're going through it themselves. And so there is much more respect that is coming through for you. Okay. We have growth, we have rebirth, and we have self-care all showing themselves at the bottom of the deck. And that healing hands energy from the last energy update showing itself on the top. This is the bridge. This is a union, just like we described in that sacred union energy update. This is the illusion of separation, that chasm, that abyss between you two. It's an illusion. There is a bridge that is being built. There is a mending, a coming together that can happen. And you're both ascending upwards. Okay. I feel like we're going to end here. I just wanted to do a little bit of a check-in for the divine feminines. I'm going to look back on this myself, see what the heck I just channeled. But divine feminines, I feel like keep anchoring in to that embodiment, that sacred embodiment within you. Keep choosing consciously the energy of love and peace. Allow yourself to remove yourself from toxicity. Allow yourself to disengage from drama and chaos, especially when it comes to the drama and chaos that this journey can really bring about. And allow yourself to just keep choosing to trust your intuition, trust your inner knowing, use your discernment, of course, use all the tools and the resources that you've gained along this journey. Go back to the basics if you need to, but trust in yourself. Most importantly, trust in and connect with yourself, because that is where your embodiment is, and that's where you create, and that's where you connect in that energy of love, especially with your counterpart. Okay? All right, we're going to come back this week. I'm going to be doing a soul path reading, and over on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections, we're going to be doing a channeling with Mother Mary, as well as we might even get in a channeling with King Arthur, Queen Guinevere, and the Camelot energy. So make sure that you're staying tuned to both of my channels. And I'm sending you all so much love and so much light, and we'll see you soon.